back with a vengeance, Eagles fans. You know how we give it up here. I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II. You guys are tuned in to a Saturday edition, a morning edition of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter we win or we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. I'm always grateful, as you already know, to be in the presence of the beautiful people. Can't take this opportunity I have to kick it with you guys for granted. The more you guys pour into me, the more you guys bless me, the more I give back and bless you guys. And this is what I like to do, man. I love talking to y'all. This is therapeutic for me. It gives me an opportunity to exert energy that I may have pent up. It gives me moments and time to just work out some thoughts and just really bounce my thoughts off of the likes of you guys. This is fun. This is fun, man. And it's sports talk. We get to talk about our Philadelphia Eagles. We get to talk about the rest of the NFL landscape. It's fun. It's cool. It's not a bad life to live. So I appreciate you guys for being here. Make sure you smash that like button. Of course, we need those viewers to match those likes. You feel what I'm saying? We had a hell of a show yesterday before the game. I would have loved to have kicked it with y'all after the game, but I got to be honest. I was tired. Didn't really feel like it. You know what I mean? I gave y'all a bunch of content yesterday, and we had such a good show before. And I figured, you know what? I'll tap in with you guys in the morning so I can, sift through my thoughts. And I wanted to sleep on a couple things, right? I wanted to live with what I saw last night. And I got to be honest. I was pretty impressed last night. Again, it's a preseason game. You're not really paying too much attention to the scorecard, but you like to win, right? You want to win those games. You want to instill confidence in your players. You want them to come back to the locker room at the end of the game with something positive to take away from, right? And another positive that I want to take away from is my man Michael Felder. Michael Felder, thank you so much for the $20 donation, my man. Thank you. You're starting to show off right, man. It means a lot to me. Like I said, you guys pour into me and you bless me. I do my best to give back to you guys any way I can. That's why I do giveaways, right? That's why we do giveaways here at Chalk It Up Sports. And you too, Michael Felder, you can be one of those lucky giveaway winners, man. We do everything at random. I do giveaways pretty much weekly. And so far, I got to give a shout out to Mark Johnson, who's been a winner, right? Jameer Adams. Got to give a shout out to Keisha White. And I got to give a shout out to Thomas Adams as well, right? Thomas, I actually mailed out your stuff this morning. I went to the post office bright and early. Where I'm at, the post office opens at 8:30 a.m. I got there at 8:45, 8:50 a.m. You know what I mean? The line wasn't even long. And I'm always, again, I love giving back to you guys because it's really become one of my favorite parts of the program. It's really become one of my favorite parts of the show. Giving back to you guys, just to give you guys an idea of what we're doing here, right? I got to show love. Like I said to my man, Jameer Adams, he was one of our giveaway winners. I want you guys to check this out. Jameer is somebody that's been blessed by Chalk It Up Sports. Look at that. Jameer has merchandise. Let's get to it. Jameer is one of our winners. Let's get to Keisha. Keisha was one of our winners, right? I love to have people, and thank you again, Michael, for the $20 donation, my man. I really do appreciate you, big dog. Thank you. I give back to the people. Keisha got something. Jameer Adams got something. Y'all see the pictures. And let me get to my man, Mark Johnson, right? Mark Johnson. I'm giving back to the people. You feel me? This is what we do here. So shout out to Mark Johnson. Shout out to Jameer Adams. Shout out to Keisha White. And now, shout out to our most recent giveaway winner, Thomas Adams. Thomas, your gift has been placed in the mail today. I emailed you your tracking information, so you should be good to go, my guy. And that's how we do it here at Chalk It Up Sports. We show love. We give back to the people, straight like that. And y'all know I got merch, right? Make sure you guys go check out the Chalk It Up merch shop. You guys know how we give it up here. The links are pretty much located all over the live stream. You can't really miss it. Make sure you guys tap in. At some point in the show, I'll pull that up on the screen so you guys can see what you're working with here. But yeah, man, I liked what I saw last night. I got to be honest with you guys. Make sure you guys smash that like button before we get too deep into the content. Today's show, not going to be that long. Going to be about an hour or so. I got some errands to run today. So we're gonna be here for about an hour, right? Maybe an hour, hour and a half. It all depends how things roll. All depends how quickly we get through our topics. But overall, I did like what I did like what I saw from that game last night. What we're gonna do here, this is how we're gonna do it. This is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna go through each quarter, drive by drive. I took extensive notes last night. Basically, what I did was I watched the game and drive by drive. I didn't really go play by play because some plays weren't as significant as others, but I essentially went quarter by quarter, drive by drive, and I just took down my specific observations from that individual drive in that individual quarter. Okay, and we're going to go down that drive by drive, going through every quarter. And then at the end of the show, at the end of all of that, I'm going to give you guys my overall observations. And I'm sorry if the Wi-Fi is a little shaky for you guys. I'm sorry if that connection is getting a little weird. I appreciate you guys for standing through the test of time. Thank you so much. So like I said, we're going to go through all my observations, quarter by quarter, drive by drive. And then we're going to circle back and I'm going to give you guys my overall observations from the night, some of my biggest takeaways, okay? And we're going to have some fun while doing it. And then I'll also get to your comments while we do that. So again, I really do appreciate you guys for being here. It means a lot to me. Make sure you continue to smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the content, especially if you're new, right? I love newcomers. I love new viewers. It means a lot. You know, you guys have a ton of options out there, right? There's so many people doing great things in this content space. And you guys still choose to kick it with me. So that goes a long way. That goes a long way, right? Some of you guys are probably sleeping in. Maybe some of you guys are still in bed, relaxing. Maybe you got up a little early, ran some errands. Maybe you cutting the grass. Maybe you had to get the kids up for whatever weekend activity they got going on. Whatever it is, I appreciate you guys for taking the time out to kick it with me. And it's straight like that. Now, let's get to the shenanigans. All right. So let's start with the first quarter, okay? We got a chance to see that kickoff, that new kickoff rule. I'm still getting used to it. If I'm being completely honest with you guys, it looks weird. I'm not used to the kicker kicking the ball up and then guys just sitting still until the ball carrier either touches it or the ball lands in the landing zone. It's still weird. Obviously, both teams or all teams in the league are still adjusting, right? You know, special teams guys are going to have to become more creative in how they defend and how they, you know, close up those running lanes for the ball carrier. It's, you know, there was a couple times where special teams throughout the night allowed the kick returner for the Ravens to kind of get loose a little bit, but nonetheless, they still, held them down. Anyway, first quarter. Let's start with the offense's first drive, okay? On the offense's first drive, it was a 3-and-out. But let me just go through this, right? First and foremost, you saw the Philadelphia Eagles getting Britton Covey and Johnny Wilson involved very early. They hit Britton Covey with a bubble screen. They hit Johnny Wilson with a quick slant up the middle, and he was able to convert it for a first down. On that drive, Johnny Wilson got 2 targets. So on top of that, I got to give credit to Kenny Gainwell. I've been critical of Kenny Gainwell over the past couple seasons, and quite frankly, Kenny Gainwell was running very hard last night. Kenny Gainwell had a pretty good game. Whatever snaps he did get, Kenny Gainwell was running hard. He was protecting the football. It seemed like he was running with the plan. He looked patient. He looked good. Kenny Gainwell looked explosive last night. I got to be honest. And Kenny Pickett, he underthrew John Ross on the 3rd and 8, and the Eagles tried to go for it on 4th down. There was a turnover on downs. So early, the Philadelphia Eagles, took a chance on 4th down. And I'm not really mad at teams going for it on 4th down in the preseason. I mean, you want to try some things out. You want to see if your offense can get creative. You want to see if your quarterback can make the play. So I'm not really mad about that. But again, key observations from that first drive in the first quarter, Britton Covey and Johnny Wilson got involved very early in the passing game. And Kenny Gainwell was running very, very hard. And his vision and his patience looked really, really good. Now, moving on to the defense's first drive, right? The Eagles' defense's first drive. They started off a little shaky, I'll admit. The defense allowed 2 first down conversions on 2 plays. That wasn't a good look for Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. They got ran right up the middle. That wasn't a good look. I believe on the first play, they got ran up the middle for a first down conversion. And then on the second play, I think it was a blown coverage by Quinyon Mitchell, or there was some sort of miscommunication on the Eagles defense. And I believe the Ravens running back was wide open in the flat on the left, and he was able to convert it for a first down. But nonetheless, they bounced back. The Eagles defense bounced back, and the D-line was able to stuff the run. And then Jalen Carter was able to deflect the pass, which created an incompletion. And then Quinyon Mitchell on third down was able to jump a route and almost intercepted the ball, forcing the pass deflection. So back-to-back plays, that Philadelphia Eagles defense stood tall, and they forced the Ravens to settle for a field goal. So at that point, the score is 3-0. So I liked what I saw from Carter and Jordan Davis bouncing back after giving up that run, right? After they gave up those back-to-back first down conversions, they kind of locked down. They settled in. The D-line stuffed the run. Carter deflected the pass for incompletion, which shows his instincts. And then Quinyon Mitchell, the rookie, showed his instincts as well. That was pretty dope. He read that like a pro. His instincts were on full display. And almost at the interception, he has to make that play, though, right? Those are the kind of plays that can change a football game. What's going to be needed for this Philadelphia Eagles team is for this defense to be able to force turnovers and flip the field. Too often last season, the offense had to go the full length of the field. The full length of the field. But nonetheless, I liked what I saw from those starting guys on defense. And the Ravens set up for a field goal. Now, let's get to the offensive second drive. And by the way, you guys, you're right. Zach Bond did not look good. He looked lost. Zach Bond looked very lost last night. Devin White looked better than him. Jeremiah Trotter and Nakobe Dean looked better than him. Zach Bond's stock is down. Zach Bond's stock is down right now. Now, getting to the offense's second drive, by the way, in grand total, the offense had a grand total of 11 drives on the night, while the defense had to defend on 10 drives on the night. So there was a lot of changing of the guard, changing of the hands of the ball. But the Eagles had 11 total drives. The Eagles offense had 11 total drives, and the Eagles defense was on the field for a grand total of 10 drives. Getting back to my notes here. On the offense's second drive, right? This is where the Philadelphia Eagles offense started to settle down and started to take shape. And you kind of saw how good they can be if they follow a certain formula. So first and foremost, the one thing I noticed on that second drive for the Eagles offense is that offensive line was getting a ton of push. That offensive line settled in. Those backups was really, really, pushing the line and putting a lot of pressure and wearing down that Ravens defensive line. Gainwell, he continued to run hard, continued to run with a purpose and show vision and show patience. And that's when we saw Will Shipley start to emerge, right? Will Shipley was running very well, running strong. I loved his vision, loved his patience. Again, he's much stronger than he looks. And he's not afraid to get physical out there in between the tackles. And I got to give credit to Tyler Steen. Even though Tyler Steen disappointed me with his lack of discipline, Tyler Steen had two offensive penalties, had two offensive line penalties on the night. But outside of the penalties, Tyler Steen did a good job in sealing off the defenders, creating running lanes for the running back. He looked good in doing his job, but I need Tyler Steen to settle down and exercise a little bit more discipline. And I'm going to get to your comments, by the way, you guys. Just let me get through some of this. So again, Gainwell running very well. Will Shipley running very well. Brenton Covey was utilized again on the drive. They threw him another bubble screen, which converted for a first down. And I got to be honest, I understand they're being vanilla, and I understand when Brenton Covey. What I did like though is that they only ran those bubble screens with Brenton Covey, and that kind of reminded me of Cole Beasley in Dallas and the Danny Amendolas, guys like that, right? Brenton Covey is fast. He's a quick decision maker. He's shifty. So I really don't mind seeing Brenton Covey doing bubble screens. I think I'm just scarred from seeing bubble screens all damn day. But regardless, Covey got involved again. Covey was pretty much taking advantage of his opportunities, which I like. He was always moving forward. One of the most impressive plays from last night that might be overlooked by some people. Will Shipley, despite people being down on him in training camp due to his blocking potential, he showed a willingness and a level of fearlessness in picking up a block. He picked up a huge blitz on that drive, which allowed Kenny Pickett to convert for a first down. And I loved it. He showed physicality, he showed fearlessness. He got right into the A gap and picked up that blitzer, and it bought Kenny Pickett enough time to hit, I believe it was John Ross for a 9-yard catch, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was John Ross. As a matter of fact, John Ross, he had 2 catches on the drive, 2 9-yard catches, which resulted in 18 yards in total on that drive for him. John Ross, unfortunately, he didn't really create that much separation last night. You know, I felt like John Ross, he had his moments, but I didn't really see that speed really jumping off the screen. So throughout that drive, and again, we're on the second offensive drive for the Philadelphia Eagles. Throughout that drive, the Eagles were leaning heavily on their run game, which allowed Kenny Pickett to settle down. It opened up the quick pass game, and it opened up the play action. Grant Calcaterra had a couple catches on the drive. He was steady pretty much throughout the game. And Kenny Pickett on that drive, he was pretty accurate. He protected the ball very well on that drive. He was 8 for 11, 59 yards, and a touchdown, which brings me to the red zone where Pickett hit Will Shipley on the play action in the flat for a touchdown, which put the Eagles up 6-3. Unfortunately, Jake Elliott missed the field goal, which is unlike him, and it resulted in a 15-play drive. So I gotta give credit to Kenny Pickett for navigating that drive and not overthinking it. But I got to give more credit to the offensive line and Will Shipley for maximizing their opportunities. That offensive line was the story of the night on offense, and you got to give it to Will Shipley. That was a big drive for him. He showed his running ability. He showed his pass catching ability. He showed his vision. He showed his willingness to block and do it relatively decently. On that drive, he had 8 touches, 30 yards, and a touchdown. 15-play drive. Will Shipley was featured in that drive, and I think that was pretty cool. And Joshua Mullins, you're absolutely right. Kenny Pickett didn't do John Ross any favors. He underthrew him quite a few times. So again, that was the end of the first quarter. Key stats and observations from the first quarter. Kenny Pickett in that first quarter, 8 for 11, 59 yards, a passing touchdown. Will Shipley, 8 touches, 30 rushing yards, a touchdown. And Kenny Gainwell ran very well, and that backup offensive line got tremendous push. Now let's transition to the second quarter. Well, before I do that, let me read some of your comments, right? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go quarter by quarter, and in between the quarters, I'll read your comments. Let's do that. That seems like the best way to go. Big Pickens says McKee's arm was strong. I agree. We're going to get to that. Slow-mo Gaming says, I'm loving Will Shipley. I feel you. I told you guys, I'm a Will Shipley guy. I like Will Shipley. Tritegrity says, for real, all our running backs look good. That's a fact. We definitely will get into that. Twiz says Pickett's arm looks weak and he was staring down his receivers. Absolutely. Kenny Pickett's arm is very, very weak, very pedestrian. It seems like whatever ball he throws, it kind of just floats. It kind of just hangs there. He doesn't really drive with the ball. And you're right. Doesn't make quick decisions, and he was staring down receivers, which made it easy for the Ravens to kind of key in on him after a while. Joshua Mullen says, Tone, I think Pickett underthrew John Ross. Yes, he sure did. You're right. Tritegrity says Grant Calcaterra was where he was supposed to be. Absolutely. I think Grant Calcaterra did a great job catching the ball in traffic. He was always where he was supposed to be. Good hands, strong hands. I think Grant Calcaterra had a good game too. Bruce Banner says, I'm liking Will Shipley. He was trucking fools. Yeah, he was fearless. Yeah, that's another thing too. All those running backs for the Eagles, they were falling forward. They must have been hitting the weight room hard because they were falling forward all day. Spy City says, Tone, what's up? That line held up nicely. I agree, man. Tritegrity says, Jalix Hunt is crazy athletic. He's definitely a player. Yo, Jalix Hunt looked really good in coverage. He looked natural. It looked smooth. He looked really comfortable. And that kind of speaks to his experience playing the DB position earlier on in his college career. He transitioned to the edge rusher spot. He put on about 30 to 40 pounds of muscle. And, he brings that coverage ability. He brings that comfortability and coverage to the edge rusher position. I really liked how they used him. He was running sideline to sideline. He had some pretty good tackles in coverage, preventing the Ravens from breaking anything, breaking anything wide. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Crawley says this vanilla offense was better than the play calling all year last year. Everybody keeps saying that. That's funny though. I can't argue with you guys. Big Pickens says John Ross lost a step. He also says Will Shipley was great. I agree. John Ross just like he didn't have that. He didn't have that separation. Twiz says Anaya Smith is cheeks, but give him some time. He missed OTAs from an injury. We'll see, man. Well, Anaya Smith did not look good last night at all. He had a fumble on a punt return. He's lucky it bounced out of bounds. Integrity says Will Shipley had an excellent pass pro block. You're absolutely right, my man. Absolutely. Jason A Team says Covey was awesome. He was one of my favorites. I feel you on that. All right, let's get back to the let's get back to this. 757 Cities Rep says folks hyping up Shipley and Covey, shaking my head. The offense was ranked 8th. I'm not worried about that. Y'all need to worry about that 31st ranked defense. I was very impressed with Young, Trotter, and Ringo. Hey, 757 City Reppers. At the end of the day, we're talking about young players, rookies, and young guys that you're encouraged to see things from. We're taking this thing drive by drive, quarter by quarter. Be patient. We're going to talk about the defense accordingly, okay? So I don't think it's right to dismiss people being excited about Will Shipley. He showed you great things last night. So let's not pretend people don't have a reason to be optimistic about Will Shipley and Brenton Covey. All right? And let's be honest, that offense that was ranked number 8 was the first team offense, not those second and third string guys, okay? You got to give credit where credit is due when it comes to that offensive line blocking well. You got to give credit where credit is due for Brenton Covey for taking advantage of his opportunities with a quarterback like Kenny Pickett. You got to give credit where credit is due for Will Shipley, who wasn't really known for his blocking ability, still coming in, picking up a key blitz, which allowed them to convert for a third down. You got to give credit where credit is due, seeing Kenny Gainwell when those running backs run hard. They looked tough last night. So let's not be facetious here. Let's talk about what it is, okay? And I appreciate you for being active in the live stream. I appreciate you for being here as well. Trust me, I don't take your presence here for granted. But let's not shit on everyone else's parade because because the players made some cool plays and they're just observing. That's all. That's all it is. We're taking it step by step. Screaming Jerry Lee was good. Speaking of that, let me make sure I give my man his wrench from earlier. Oh, he got it already. Bet. So Michael Felder, bet. All right. So Screaming Jerry Lee says, I love the more offense. Shipley was great all around. Nolan Smith played well. Dean and Axeman Jr. played well. Kenny Pickett sucks. Great running backs. McKee, quarterback 2. Covey should be wide receiver 3. Hey, man. Nice breakdown. Jerry Lee, thank you so much for your $5 donation, my man. I think the offense did look decent, when they were running the ball. There were some drives where they got away from the run, and clearly they were trying to experiment. But when they were running the ball and allowing that offensive line to work, that offense looked damn near unstoppable, even with the second and third team. Thank you again for your donation, Jerry Lee. I really do appreciate it, my guy. Thank you. All right, let's get back to the notes. Let's get back to my observation. So we're starting with the second quarter now. We're starting with the second quarter. At this point, we're on the Eagles' defense's second drive. Now the Eagles' defense has a second opportunity to go on the field, right? So on one of the first plays, you saw Isaiah Rodgers give up a big catch for 19 yards on the end route. He gave up too much cushion. That's one thing I don't like when I see DBs giving too much cushion. And look, you never know what they're being asked to do at any given time. But I just felt like he gave that guy way too much latitude to do whatever he wanted to do. So I personally didn't like that from Isaiah Rodgers. That's just my humble opinion. I know some people on Twitter feel like I'm being hard on Rodgers right now because I said his stock is down. And I even took it a step further and said, look, I'll concede this. Maybe Isaiah Rodgers' stock isn't down because that was the only play I really saw him give up. But I just didn't like it. So again, I said to everyone, maybe I overreacted saying Isaiah Rodgers' stock is down. Maybe I overreacted with that. But it's not up. And if anything, I think it's plateaued right now. But he has plenty of time to elevate that stock. Plenty of time. And then Kelee Ringo followed up right behind that, giving up a 19-yard catch. But here's the difference, though. Here's the difference. 757 says, cool, Tone. Cool, Tone. I wasn't shitting on them or your notes. This is not about my notes. This is not about my notes. This is not about my notes. This isn't about my notes at all. Let's not make it about what it's not. This is about you saying that people are hype about Will Shipley and Brent Covey. And I'm telling you, they have a right to be. Simple as that. My notes are fine. My notes are legit. This ain't about my notes. So you can take them out your air quotes, my G. Don't get sensitive. So anyway, yes. So Isaiah Rodgers and both Kelee Ringo gave up big catches, 19 yards apiece. Here's the difference, though. Kelee Ringo, he actually was pretty tight in coverage. It wasn't poor coverage by him. It was just a really great throw by Josh. Who's that quarterback for the Ravens? Is Josh Johnson? Is that his name? But anyway, Ringo gave up a catch as well for 19 yards. It wasn't poor coverage, but it was just a really, really good throw. But then he made up for it. He made up for it with a huge pass deflection in the end zone, which prevented a touchdown. So I got to give credit to Ringo on that drive. You know, he gave up a 19-yarder, but then he bounced back. With the huge pass deflection, preventing the touchdown. And then on top of that, you saw the Philadelphia Eagles send Quinyon Mitchell on the blitz, which was very interesting. Didn't expect that. And they still tall in the red zone. Holding the Ravens to another field goal. So at that point, the score is now 6-6. Dank Bergang says, damn, bro, always that one guy. Of course it is, man. Of course it's always that one guy. We're all on the same page here. It's always that one dickhead, right? Anyway, where was I? So now we're moving on to the offense's third drive. And again, thank you guys for being here. We got over 100 people locked in on the live stream. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show. Really, really means a lot to me, man. Screaming Jerry Lee says that Patrick Johnson ending was love, man. Facts, it was. Kyle Kokorski says, Tone, I was not impressed with the edge rushers last night. Yeah, we're going to get into that too. We're going to get into that four-man pass rush because that's a little concerning right now. But until then, let's get to the offense's third drive, right? Well, on the offense's third drive, and we're still in the second quarter, Tyler Steen had two penalties on the night. Not a good look. He got caught holding, which killed the drive. But again, Tyler Steen, he wasn't awful, but you can't lose discipline. It kills drives. Some argue that the penalty was debatable. Whatever, they called it still. Nonetheless, they ran another bubble screen, and I was kind of getting tired of them by that point. And on top of that, whatever the Ravens were doing in coverage, Kenny Pickett could do nothing with it. He wasn't seeing it well at all. And the Ravens forced the 3-and-out in the punt. So after that drive that Kenny Pickett and the team scored on, you saw Kenny Pickett start to get stagnant. You saw his limitations start to come out. So pretty much that was a 3-and-out. They punted the ball back to the Ravens. So now the Eagles defense goes back on the field. For their third opportunity. Nakobe Dean looked pretty good on that drive, as a matter of fact. Nakobe Dean came downhill. He beat the running back block for a quarterback hit, which forced the incompletion. And unfortunately, the play was nullified because Nolan Smith got caught holding on defense. So unfortunately, the play didn't count, but we saw what Nakobe Dean did in that situation. And then we started to see Nakobe Dean and Jeremiah Trotter on the field together, which is very interesting to see. They followed up with that. Moro Ojomo had a penalty, which turned a 3rd and 7 to a 3rd and 2, which can hurt you during the regular season. Those are the kind of penalties that you don't want. And this is why I take penalties seriously. This is why I really deduct a lot of grades or guys lose stock with me when they commit penalties. because I don't care how well you're playing. People remember the bad plays more than the good ones. You can have 150 yards, 3 touchdowns in the game, but if you get caught with an offensive pass interference that kills the drive for your team, then what does it matter, right? You lost the game. You feel what I'm saying? So penalties really matter here. But nonetheless, the moral adjustment penalty wasn't a death sentence because Trotter Jr. came up big on 3rd and 2. He manages to slip the block when the quarterback was getting mobile. The quarterback tried to cut up the middle. Trotter Jr. was able to slip that block, and he sacked the quarterback just short of the first down. That was pretty dope to see. That was pretty dope to see. You know, Trotter Jr., the one thing that stood out to me about him was his instincts is off the charts. He flies to the ball. Remember that special teams play he had? He flew down the field, and that guy couldn't get away from him. So Jeremiah Trotter Jr., man, he really impressed me last night with his instincts, his ability to get off blocks. He played the ball carriers very well. Very, very well. And again, I want to give credit to Dean on that drive too. Unfortunately, Nolan Smith's holding call nullified his contribution on that drive. But nonetheless, they forced the 3-and-out, and the Ravens had to punt. And that brings me to the offense's 4th drive. And again, Kenny Pickett exposed for his limitations. Pickett was getting rid of the ball late on that 4th drive. He was making it easy for the Ravens DBs to recover. He was staring down his receivers. He ended up taking a sack on 3rd down after a blitz. Here's the thing, though. Will Shipley actually picked up his man in the blitz. Once again, Will Shipley blocking very well. He picked up his man in the blitz. But Brett Toth, and you knew this because, let me say this. Shipley picked up the blitz. He picked up his man. But Brett Toth, he made the wrong line call at center, which left Pickett exposed and put Trevor Keegan in a bad place because they sent 2 extra guys. And Will Shipley picked up his guy, and Keegan couldn't pick up his man because of the bad line call by Brett Toth. And we knew that because Brett Toth was speaking to Jeff Stoutland on the sideline. And Jeff Stoutland was trying to let him know, hey, you made the wrong call there. Let's try to get better with that. Nonetheless, the Eagles offense punts. Now we're getting to the defense's 4th drive. On the defense's 4th drive, Nakobe Dean, again, playing well. He made a solid play in coverage. He forced the pass deflection. He really got physical with that ball. He really got physical with that receiver. He forced the incompletion on 1st down. And then Patrick Johnson followed it up, coming off the edge, untouched, forcing the incompletion on 2nd down. And then Jeremiah Trotter again came up real big on 3rd down with a big tackle, in space. So Trotter Jr. and Nakobe Dean, Patrick Johnson, good drive for those guys on defense. That was the defense's 4th drive. Now we're getting to the offense's 5th drive here, and that's when the 2-minute drill starts. On that 5th drive for the offense, you saw Britton Covey becoming a security blanket for Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett hit Britton Covey on back-to-back passes, which led to a conversion for a 1st down. And by that point, Johnny Wilson cooled off. You didn't really see Johnny Wilson getting too many targets. He didn't really get too many opportunities at that point. And eventually, unfortunately, due to Kenny Pickett's limitations, it led to another 3-and-out. And I got to give credit to the punt team for being pretty solid, containing the Ravens. And Brady Mann, of course, Brady Mann is doing what punters do, man. He's doing a good job punting the ball in such a way that the coverage team can get in position and play the punt return very well. So the Eagles turn over on downs, or 3-and-out, and they punt. Now we're getting to the defense's 5th drive. We're still in that 2-minute drill. Kelee Ringo, this is where Kelee Ringo came alive for me. This is where Kelee Ringo came alive for me. So Kelee Ringo, he was super sticky in coverage on that drive, especially in man-to-man coverage. Like, is Kelee Ringo better in man-to-man coverage than I don't know, Darius Slay right now? I don't want to jump the gun here, but Kelee Ringo looked sticky in coverage. He was mirroring guys. He was running routes. He was running the receivers' routes better than they were. And he just had a He just had a good instinct for the ball. You know, he forced a completion running stride for stride with the Ravens wide receiver. And then he turned his head and played the ball very well. That's what you want to see, right? You want to see him running stride for stride, playing the ball in the air, turning around, making the play. Because here's where cornerbacks make a mistake. They run stride for stride with the receiver, but they forget to turn their head, which in turn can create a defensive pass interference. You don't want to get caught lacking like that. Ringo looked very good last night in coverage. He was sticky, especially in man-to-man. And due to the good defense on that drive, on the defense's fifth drive, the Eagles were able to force a punt, and then the Eagles get the ball back for their sixth drive on offense. It was only 15 seconds left, so it was really nothing to discuss. They really didn't make anything happen with that. Now, getting to my key observations from the second quarter. My overall key observations from the second quarter is Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Nakobe Dean. That combo played very well. They came alive. Kelee Ringo was very sticky in coverage. He had two pass deflections in that quarter. Kenny Pickett, very limited, holds the ball way too long and stares down his receivers. And for some reason, the Eagles abandoned the run game. But that could have been to see if Kenny Pickett can move the chains through the air. And we came to the conclusion that he cannot. Now, let me get to your comments here before we get to the third quarter. Big Pickens says these coaches on defense are doing okay so far. I agree. They're coaching these guys very well. They're playing hard. They're playing tough. They're playing physical. Aishan says at this point, Slay on the team for leadership only, if that. Damn, I didn't mean to gaslight y'all about Slay, man. I like Slay. I didn't mean to gaslight y'all. Market Spike says, "What's good with you, bro? How's everything? I really like what I've seen. Everyone except Smith, Anaya Smith, of course. As far as Ringo being the best man-to-man coverage guy, he could be, but what helps is the size. Yes, that size really helps that length and that speed too. He's athletic. Great observation about you, Marquette." Flexing and Stepping says, "Start Ringo over Slay." Hold your horses. Screaming Jerry Lee says, "Ringo was a harness, buckled up. Strap City." S. Blunt says Ringo was the future. Flexing says Ringo got that dog in him. Let's see here. All right. Relative Time Work says Pickett looking like one of our weakest number 2 quarterbacks of the century. Yeah, Tanner McKee looked better than him. Twiz says Mean Dean wanted violence. He looked good. He looked good last night. Kyle Kokorski says, "Tone, did Quinyon Mitchell blitz last night?" He sure did. He came off the line pretty fast. Crawley says Devin White and Bond on the other hand didn't look good. Yeah, Devin White wasn't bad. Zach Bond, I wasn't really impressed. He didn't jump off the screen to me. Crowley also says, "I still need to see more from Dean and Trotter, but they both played well last night." Of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Okay, cool. My man S. Blunt with the $5 donation. Thank you, my man. You know I appreciate you. He says on the Shipley touchdown, definitely a new look to see quarterback under center with the play action pass. Yeah, that looked good, right? That looked good. Kenny Pickett executed it pretty well. Got to give credit where credit is due, and got to give credit to Will Shipley for selling it and making the play and finishing it through. You know, Will Shipley looks like he has pop. You feel what I'm saying? Like he seemed like he got a pop to his game. But yeah, as Blunt, I like sitting under center. I really enjoyed that. Thank you again for donating to the channel. Also, by the way, shout out to Screaming Jerry Lee for donating to the channel as well. And shout out to Michael Felder for donating to the channel. You guys are doing great work investing in me. I can't take that for granted. So thank you guys so much. All right, here. S. Blunt says it was the Johnny Wilson block. Yes, good point by you. Good point. So although Johnny Wilson cooled off in the passing game, he was blocking very well. Johnny Wilson was blocking very well on the bubble screens. He blocked really well on that play action touchdown pass. Johnny Wilson was the best blocker in college, I think, at the wide receiver position. So I think the Eagles drafted him for more than just that size. They drafted him for that blocking ability, which in turn can be attributed to the size. But there are guys that are big out there and they can't block. So shout out to Johnny Wilson for being as advertised in the blocking game. A-Track says, I was impressed by everything. They look good. Flag was fly, idiots. Oh, man, you guys are crazy. Jason A-Team says, Dean and Trotter look good when playing together, which I was hoping for. Yeah, it was pretty cool to see. All right. Timework says, can we please retire the freaking bubble screens? Yeah, I was kind of tired of those too. I'm kind of tired of them too. I'm being honest. I can't even lie to you guys. All right. Let's get to the third quarter now. We're almost through this. Let's get to the third quarter. And then once we get through all of my observations from the game, quarter by quarter, drive by drive, I'll then give you guys my overall takeaways from the entire game. And then we'll get out of here. And I'll let you guys get back to your afternoons. Or mornings, depending where you're from. So third quarter starts. The defense is on the field, and they get off the field quick. Defense gets off the field quick. They force the 3 and out, and Kelee Ringo, once again, very, very sticky in coverage, running stride for stride with the receiver, man. Kelee Ringo had a really good performance. I can't get over it. Kelee Ringo was one of my highlights for the game. Transition into the offensive 7th drive. So starting the quarter, that was the defense's 6th drive, and now we're transitioning to the offense's 7th drive. Okay, so on that 7th drive for the offense, Kenny Pickett couldn't move the ball. He was making decisions very slowly, staring down receivers again, and it led to a punt, a 3 and out situation. Now getting to the defense's 7th drive. Once again, these guys are flying to the ball. They're playing tough. They're physical. They're running with abandon. They're running with intention. They forced a 3 and out and a punt. So far, that defense really started to lock in. Now, the offense's 8th drive, Tanner McKee comes onto the field. And Tanner McKee instantly shows that there's a difference between him and Kenny Pickett. Tanner McKee, he was a quick decision maker all night. He made a quick decision on the pass to, who was that? That's Harris. Let me make sure I got my man's name right. Harris, the wide receiver, Jacob Harris. Jacob Harris, number 46. Tanner McKee made a very good decision hitting Jacob Harris in a tight window, which allowed them to convert on 3rd down. And that was another thing by Tanner McKee that really stood out to me, right? He was fitting the football into some tight windows, man. He was fearless. You saw that arm strength, and he trusts his arm. He made another throw to Austin Watkins. And again, Tanner McKee, very confident in his arm talent. That's the difference between Tanner McKee and Kenny Pickett. You see the major difference in their arm talent, and you see the difference in their processing speed. So they were able to keep that drive going. Then on top of that, another thing I noticed, excuse me, you guys, I'm getting ahead of myself. Another thing I noticed on that Eagles drive was how dominant the offensive line and the running backs were. These Eagle running backs were running hard, and they were protecting the ball very well. Tyrion Davis-Price converts for a 1st down. Lou Nichols converted a key 4th down. Tyrion Davis-Price converted on another 3rd down where Matt Hennessy and Darian Kennard pulled from the right tackle and the right guard spot, and they got 2 key blocks to open the lane. And Lou Nichols, he got a touchdown run on that drive. These Eagles offensive linemen, the 3rd stringers, 2nd stringers, they looked very good. They were pushing the line. They were wearing down that Ravens defensive line. I got to give credit to Jamal Singleton. Jamal Singleton, the Eagles running back coach and the assistant head coach, Jamal Singleton is teaching these guys very well. They're protecting the ball. They're running with intention. The vision is there. You see the patience. The Eagles are deep at running back. And also on top of that, I noticed a one-handed catch by this tight end they picked up named Kevin Fulsch. He had a nice one-hand catch. And then Jacob Harris, wide receiver for the Eagles, he reeled in a Tanner McKee pass to convert on the third down. And he took a huge hit and still held onto the ball, which led to an unnecessary roughness penalty in the red zone and got the Eagles closer to the end zone, which led to that touchdown. So like I said, I've noticed that this offense, the Eagles team in general, they just look tougher. They look stronger. They look more fearless so far. Now, I want to get to the defense's 8th drive. The defense's 8th drive of the day, Nolan Smith was able to get a sack. He was lined up in the slot. He was kind of lined up on the receiver, and then he faked out the offensive lineman coming in untouched for the sack. Now, granted, the offensive lineman didn't know he was coming, but in my mind, that offensive lineman should have at least had an idea that he was coming because Nolan Smith is an edge rusher. He may drop back. He may rush you. That offensive lineman should have been more on point, with his matchup. Nonetheless, Nolan Smith, he took over that drive and completely dismantled it for the Baltimore Ravens. And his effort just looks relentless. So my key observation from the third quarter, and again, that Nolan Smith sack led to a turnover on downs, or essentially a 3-and-out for the Ravens. That was the Nolan Smith drive. So my key observations from that third quarter in totality is they look tougher. The Eagles, that is. They look tougher. They look more physical, and they were flying to the rock. I see urgency with them, and I like that. Now, let's get to the fourth quarter, the money quarter. And again, thank you guys so much. And before I do so, let me say this. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed as well. It means a lot. That like button is currency here. Let's check things out. Let's do a head count. So we got, real quick, y'all, hold on. We got over 100 people in the live stream, and we only got 62 likes. Somebody not doing their job, y'all. Come on now. Come on. Over 110 people in here and only 63 likes. Come on, y'all. Y'all better than this. I voice it every day. That like button is currency in this YouTube space. When you guys don't hit that like button, it makes it hard for this content to grow. There were some of you guys that were rocking with me back when I had 5 people watching, 10 people watching, 20 people watching, 30 people. You know what I'm saying? And when you guys hit that like button, it helps more people find the show. That's why we have over 100 people in here in the first place, because of that like button, because you guys are subscribed and active, right? So you got to understand your power as the consumer. The consumer rules the day. The more you guys hit that like button, the more people we have in these live streams. Therefore, the more guys like Flexing can talk his shit. And some of you guys may be busy, right? Maybe your hands aren't free. Maybe you're listening to me while you're driving. Maybe you're handling the kids. Maybe you're, I don't know, cutting the grass. But when you get the chance, hit that like button. Trust me, it helps the show grow, helps more people find it. Goes a long way with me, man. I really do appreciate you guys. I try to do my best to give back to you guys, with the giveaways and the merch and whatnot, and try to put out as much content as possible and try to be as thorough and as detailed as I possibly can. All I need from you guys is hit that like button, and y'all good with me. And I'll love you forever. Shout out to my man, Relative Timeworks, with the $10 donation. Thank you, Timeworks. It means a lot to me, my man. He says, thanks for the bonus Saturday coverage. Absolutely. You see, I was live yesterday before the game, and I wanted to go live last night, but again, I was tired. I had to keep an eye on my dog. It was late. I had to eat. It was just, I just didn't feel like it last night. Especially again, it was late. So nonetheless, I told myself I'm going to wake up early, go to the post office, make sure I put my giveaways in the mail, so the lucky winners here, like Thomas Adams, can get his gift on time, and then come back, make sure we set up for a show, and let's have some fun and talk Eagles. And that's what we're doing here, right? Who's up with you right now? Who's up with you right now? You feel what I'm saying? This is what I do. I like to get back to y'all any way I can. So thank you, Time Works, for donating $10 to the show. It means a lot. Flexing with the $4.99 donation. He says, big facts, Tone. Yeah, Flexing. I know you like that. I know you like to talk your ish, man. I know you like to talk your ish. So let's make sure we keep hitting that like button so we can have more bodies. You know what I'm saying? So flexing could keep shooting. Gatekeeper Coley says, I was cutting hair, bro, but I hit it. Hey, Gatekeeper Coley, thank you so much, my man. Hey, Gatekeeper Coley, is that the St. Lucia flag in your name? Is that the St. Lucia flag? I could be wrong. I don't know. Or is it the Bahamas flag? Correct me if I'm wrong. It looks like the St. Lucia flag, Gatekeeper Coley. But thank you so much for hitting that like button. Flexing and Stepping says, forever talking about trash. Madness says, you the man, Tone. Thank you, man. Y'all, I couldn't do it without y'all. Bahamas. Okay, Bahamas. Okay, so I was my second choice was right. Okay. Shout out to my man, Gatekeeper Coley, for holding it down for the Bahamas. Dave Dust says, I didn't think I'd ever say this, but Bradbury playing safety wasn't too bad. He didn't let anything get past him. Yeah, he was actually all right. He was actually all right. Dylan Kneppe says, sorry, brother, I was in the shower. No, you good, bro. You good. You good. Thank you, man. I just like to remind you guys, that's all. Screaming Jerry Lee says, I've been rocking with you from the start, Tone. I know we came a long way. It's crazy. T Cole 215 says, Nolan looks disappointing. Nolan had that play. I don't want to take it away from him, but overall, the D-line could have been better throughout the game. Relative Time Work says the key to Will Shipley making a big impact this year will be if he can more quickly recognize where his daylight is. He hesitated a few times and reduced possible 10+ yards gains to 2 to 3 yard gains. Interesting observation, Time Works. I got to double back and watch that. Flexing and Stepping says, impressed how Kenny G looked. Yeah, Kenny looked real good. Screaming Jerry Lee says, Hennessy wasn't half bad. Aishan says, Matt Hennessy won't make this team. Kennard is better, though. Yo, I like Darian Kennard. He played all game, and he's physical. It says here, Darian Kennard played physical, and he had three pancakes. Yeah, man, it was pretty cool to see. Johnny Wilson had a pancake, too. Anthony Kroback, he says, what's good, Tone? Low-key worried about run defense, but Trotter looked good. Yeah, Trotter did look good. Yeah, run defense, they gave up some runs that was like, I don't like that. I feel you on that. Madness says, how about Quinyon? Nobody wanted to throw his way. That's a fact. Brian Grant says Trevor Keegan looked good. He did. Kyle Kokorski says, Tone, what position you think Howie makes a move for? Good question. If Howie makes a move, I think he either adds another wide receiver or he adds another edge rusher if he can. All right, let's get to the rest of these notes here. We got 116 people we got 117 people total. We got some people watching on Twitch. We got 120 people watching on YouTube. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way in, man. I really do appreciate you guys. That like button, like I always say, is currency. The like button really helps the content grow, helps more people find the show, So make sure you guys hit that like button when you get the opportunity on the way in or on the way out. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you guys. All right, let's get to the rest of my notes. Let's get to this fourth quarter here. So at the beginning of the fourth quarter, the offense starts on their 9th drive of the day. The Eagles' third string offensive linemen were looking pretty good, and Tanner McKee throws a pretty good football. There was a few moments where the receivers were dropping Tanner McKee's dots. Like Tanner McKee had this one throw down the middle of the field that I think was it Austin Watkins that dropped it, or was it Jacob Harris? I can't remember who dropped it, but Tanner McKee had this real beautiful throw that would have converted for a big gain, but the receivers were dropping it on that drive, and it led to a 3-and-out, which led to a punt. So now the Eagles defense goes back on the field for their 9th drive, for their 9th opportunity. The Ravens running game started to come alive. They started to wear down the Philadelphia Eagles defense, and that didn't really look good. But then eventually, once they got to the goal line, the Eagles defense stood tall 3 plays in a row. It took the Ravens until 4th down. It was 4th and inches, and they got the touchdown on a quarterback sneak. It was inevitable. At that point, when you're that close to the to the end zone, to the touchdown or the goal line rather, 4 opportunities, and they ran the ball 4 times. I can't get mad at it. Or wasn't Nagata? Wasn't it? I don't know if you guys remember. Tanner McKee had this beautiful throw down the field, and somebody dropped it. Was it Ngata, or was it Austin Watkins, or was it Jacob Harris? I hope somebody remembers what I'm talking about. It would have been Tanner McKee's best throw tonight, but they dropped it. Aishan says yes, it was Ngata. He had 2 years to speed up his routes. Yeah, man. He should have caught that ball. He should have caught that ball. Okay, so wait, some of you guys were saying it was Harris. Okay, so yeah, it was a few drops on that drive. I know Jacob Harris dropped one, and Ngata dropped one too. I just don't know who dropped that. I just don't know who dropped that pass by Tanner McKee when he threw it down the field. Somebody saying it was number 85. Who was that? Okay, number 85. There's no number 85 here. It probably was 86 then, because Joseph Ngata is number 86. Jacob Harris is number 46. It was either Ngata or Harris. Nonetheless, though, let's get back on track here. Was it Albert O? Oh, okay. Regardless, those receivers had a bad drive. Kokorski says Albert O was 85. Got it. All right, so we went through the defense's 9th drive. They gave up that QB sneak for a touchdown. Now let's get to the offense's 10th drive. Okay, this is where the game got interesting. So the Eagles had an opportunity here, and they had a penalty on that drive, which was the 8th one of the night. The Eagles had too many penalties last night, but it was the first game, first live action. I think they'll settle down, but they had too many penalties last night, and Tanner McKee, he converted a huge 3rd down pass to Aniyah Smith. Aniyah Smith, he did not have a good night last night. Aniyah Smith did not have a good night last night, but he converted a huge 3rd down pass that allowed the Philadelphia Eagles to keep things rolling. So I got to give credit where credit is due. And let's get to the running back position. The Eagles, again, like I said, they're deep at running back and offensive line. Kennard and Hennessy looked great. The backup running backs were running hard with patience, and the offensive line dominated. They relied on their running game to get them down the field and get them in position, right? So then we get to the Jake Elliott field goal. Jake Elliott kicks the field goal, and he doinks it off the left upright. The right upright. He doinked it off the right upright. You can't do that, Jake Elliott. Now, I'm glad you're getting these misses out early, but you can't do that. Nonetheless, they missed the field goal. The game is still tied, 13-13. And now the defense goes back on the field for their 10th drive. And this is where the Ravens screwed up. Instead of just ending the game, the Ravens were trying to win the game, and the quarterback dropped back, tried to throw it deep, and then Patrick Johnson came around that edge. He strip-sacked the quarterback, saves the game, gives Jake Elliott another opportunity, gave him a mulligan. And then the offense goes back on the field for their 11th offensive drive. Jake Elliott makes the field goal right down the middle of the field. Game over as time expires. Eagles beat the Ravens 16-13. So, overall, let me give you guys my overall observations from the game. Okay? We went through this game quarter by quarter, drive by drive. All right? Now, let me just give you my overall observations, period. So, first and foremost, Tanner McKee is better at playing quarterback than Kenny Pickett. Plain and simple. You know, don't let that box score fool you. Kenny Pickett had one drive worthwhile. One drive. And the Eagles ran the ball a lot on that drive. So Tanner McKee is better at quarterback than Kenny Pickett. Clear as day. Now, another observation I had for the entire game. Like I mentioned before, the Eagles running backs, they're talented. They're deep there. They're deeper than I thought, actually. Tyrion Davis-Price, I loved what I saw from him. Lou Nichols, loved what I saw from him. Will Shipley checked all three boxes. The running game, the pass catching ability, and the willingness and the eagerness to block. Loved what I saw from Will Shipley. And I got to give credit to Jamal Singleton. Got to give credit to Jamal Singleton for having these guys ready. The ball security really stood out to me because they were hitting last night and they held onto that ball for dear life. You can tell the guys were running with the intention of converting and protecting the ball. They exercised great patience and great vision last night. Those running backs did. So I like the Eagles' position in terms of the running back. Moving on. And again, we're talking about my overall observations after everything is done. You know, despite the few penalties, the offensive line is well coached and they have strong depth. They're deep. And two guys in particular that I really liked what I saw. I loved what I saw from Kennard, and I loved what I saw from Hennessy. And I'll even throw in Trevor Keegan and Dylan McMahon in there. I think the rookies did a good job too. Wide receiver 3. I'm going to give credit to Brenton Covey for taking advantage of his opportunities. But the wide receiver 3 spot is still up for debate. It's up for debate, man. Johnny Wilson, he went cold. You know, you couldn't really find him anymore in the game, but I mean, they wasn't playing him in the second half, really. So Johnny Wilson had a good first drive or had a good first half, relatively. You know, he blocked very well. He had a decent catch, but didn't really jump off the page and didn't jump off the page in the passing game. But you see the size, you see why you got him out there. Brenton Covey again took advantage of his opportunities. Paris Campbell didn't play. John Ross had, I think, 2 or 3 catches on the day, but again, it wasn't really impressive. Didn't really get that much separation. Anaya Smith, disappointing. Had a key third down conversion, but overall disappointing. Everybody else, Austin Watkins, Jacob Harris, all those guys, Joseph Ngata, they're not making the roster. They're practice squad bodies. Very unimpressive. Wide receiver 3 is still up for debate, and I wouldn't be surprised if Howie Roseman decides to outsource for that. But we'll see. We still got 2 preseason games left, and we still have a joint practice left. Next, the Eagles, and this is where I think this is my biggest concern for the day. When it comes to the front four, when it comes to the front four pass rush, I'm concerned. The Eagles struggled to generate consistent pressure with their front four last night. The only times they generated pressure was when they blitzed. So I am concerned about the edge rushers. I'm concerned in general about the overall defensive line. If this defense is going to do well, those guys up front got to get pressure. They got to get pressure. Ernest Wallace says they was getting the ball out quick. They were. I'll admit they were. Twiz says Jalix Hunt got a couple pressure. He did. Jalix looks athletic. Jalix looks fast. He looks athletic. I like him in pass coverage. He looks good. And we're going to get to that, right? Jalix Hunt, another observation overall. He looks comfortable in coverage, and he's very athletic. You can see his athleticism jumping off the screen. And as far as the linebacker position, unfortunately, it's clear that the Eagles made their mind up at starting linebacker. You know, Nakobe Dean and Trotter, they still played well, and they showed that linebacker should still be up for debate. But Devin White and Zach Bond, they played very little last night, which tells me that the Philadelphia Eagles feel like they're starting the season with those guys at linebacker. But again, Nakobe Dean, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., stock up. Moving on, like I said to you guys before, Kelee Ringo, I love what I saw from him. As of today, I would put Kelee Ringo ahead of Isaiah Rodgers in the position battle for cornerback 2. I know a lot of people feel like Isaiah Rodgers didn't have a bad game. All he did was give up one catch. Look, I understand what you guys are saying. And maybe I was a bit overreactionary by saying Isaiah Rodgers' stock is down. But what I will say is this. Kelee Ringo's stock is above his right now. I'm sorry. That's my opinion. I feel like Kelee Ringo outplayed Isaiah Rodgers last night. Kelee Ringo jumped off the screen more. Kelee Ringo had more impressive moments in pass coverage. That's just my opinion. So I think Kelee Ringo should be ahead of Isaiah Rodgers in the position battle for cornerback 2. Also Quinyon Mitchell, his instincts, pro level. Had a good first quarter. You saw his athleticism. They blitzed him, and you saw the instincts when he jumped the pass. Almost had an interception. Also, I want to give credit to Kellen Moore. Even though his offense was very vanilla, you still saw the creativity. You saw the play action. You saw the motion. I liked what I saw. And my final point for the day, before we get out of here and before I get to your comments, I wrote here the Eagles overall on offense and defense, they look tougher. They played with a sense of urgency, and I could sense a mentality shift. That was another thing. I feel like these young players on this team, guys like Trotter Jr., guys like Ringo, guys like Isaiah Rodgers, guys like Quinyon Mitchell, and even the young guys on the offensive line, Jalix Hunt, right, on the edge. And, I just feel like, I got to give credit to Tristan McCullum, the safety. Tristan McCullum was very physical out there. There was a play where I believe Tristan McCullum and Nolan Smith, they played the flat very well. I liked what I saw from Tristan McCullum. So I want to give him his flowers. But yeah, like I said, these young guys, man, they're bringing this energy. They're bringing this energy. They're bringing this intensity, man. They're flying to the ball. I liked what I'm seeing, man. They brought such a physicality and intensity. These OGs don't have any choice but to match it. So I liked what I saw. All right, let's get to your comments, you guys. Let's get to your comments before we get out of here. Once again, I appreciate you guys so much for being here with me this morning and this afternoon. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show if you haven't already done so. I always appreciate newcomers, new viewers. Thank you guys. Make sure you guys also stay locked in on the live streams daily because I do giveaways weekly. Shout out to Keisha White, Jameer Adams, Thomas Adams, Mark Johnson. So far, we've done 4 giveaways. So far, Chalk It Up Sports has given up 4 items. We're giving back to the people. You guys have invested so much of your time in me. I gotta pay it forward to give it back to y'all. All right, let's get to some of your comments here. As Blunt says, I was lukewarm on Trotter, but you can tell he is a natural middle linebacker. It's not Burks' natural position, and I think he will get replaced. As Blunt, that's a good point by you, man. You mentioned how you were a little skittish on Jeremiah Trotter, but you can tell that that's where he belongs, in the middle of the field. And Oren Burks, or are you thinking of Bond? Are you thinking about Zach Bond? Because Oren Burks didn't play last night. You may be thinking of Bond if that's what you're trying to get across. Oren Burks didn't play last night. Okay, Bond, got it. So as Blunt was talking about Bond, not Burks. Oren Burks has been dealing with a knee injury. Oren Burks didn't play last night. But nonetheless, I see what you mean though. John the Don says, I really liked Dean last night. I did too. Dean thoroughly entertained me last night. Brian Grant says, I don't think Rodgers or Ringo will be day one starters. I think Quinyon will end up on the outside. If you peeped the first quarter, when we were in base, Quinyon was on the outside. If they were in nickel, he slid inside. Good call, Brian. Good observation. Very, very good observation, Brian. You're absolutely right. Twiz says number 36 was flashing. Number 36 was, let's see here. Number 36. Tristan McCullum. Yeah, Tristan McCullum was flying to the ball, man. He made his presence felt. Flexing and Stepping says, play the young guys. Yeah, man, those young guys, they brought it last night. Sean says, oh, yeah, McCullum had some hard hits. He sure did. Flexing and Stepping says, Trotter season. Gators on Miami says, trade Bradbury and Nolan Smith for JOK. That's a little bit of overreaction. Even though I do like JOK, though. I like JOK a lot. Malijah Earl says Ringo was low-key smothering them dudes. He was. And he did it with discipline. What made Ringo's performance so great for me was that he did it without committing a pass interference. That was what stood out to me. He did it without committing a pass interference. Gators says if Devin White can be solid and Trotter can be solid, we'll be good. We may see a combo with Devin White and Jeremiah Trotter earlier than we think. Twiz says Ringo's still younger than Quinyon Mitchell. Damn, for real? Let me see. Okay, Quinyon Mitchell, he is 23 years old. And Kelee Ringo is, wow, 22. That's crazy. That's crazy. You know, Ringo was entering year 2. Quinyon Mitchell, obviously, entering year 1. Philly 007 says Will Shipley is nice. Definitely. I like Will Shipley, man. I told you guys, I think Will Shipley is going to be a player for us. But Kenny Gainwell, man. Kenny Gainwell looked really good last night. He looked really good as a runner. They didn't hit Kenny Gainwell in the passing game, but as a runner, Gainwell looked really, really good. I can't lie about it. Sean says Devin White wasn't bad either. Yeah, he was all right, especially as a blitzer. Cody said Stout's group came to play. Facts. Jeff Stoutland's crew was ready to go. They got to tighten up with the penalties, but they were good. T. Cole 215 says Kelee Ringo was a late bloomer like Rasul Douglas. Let the kid take his L's and learn. Yeah, I want Ringo out there. I'm excited about him because Ringo, not only does he have the speed to keep up with smaller receivers, he has the size and the physicality to be able to bang with those 6'1", 6'2", 215, 220-pound receivers. You know what I'm saying? Ringo is physically and athletically gifted. I think Ringo gives you more versatility than Isaiah Rodgers. I feel like Isaiah Rodgers can only defend one type of receiver because of his size. You know, not because of ability, but because of size. Whereas though Ringo, he has speed and athleticism and size at the position. He can defend the small guys and he can defend the taller wide receivers. As Blunt says, that could have been Fangio's scheme, but I agree. Ringo was the long-term replacement for Slay. So get him out there now. Yeah, man. It could have been the scheme, right? It could have been why Ringo shined more than Isaiah Rodgers. It could be that. Also, Isaiah Rodgers didn't play as much as Ringo. Ringo was out there pretty much all day. Aishan says, Bond ain't it. I don't know. It's just one game, but the chemistry between Trot and Dean wasn't bad at all. Yeah, I felt like Jeremiah Trotter and Nakobe Dean's chemistry was better than Devin White and Zach Bonds. I'm curious to see what a Devin White and Trotter Jr. combo looks like. And also, I'm really curious, if Nakobe Dean can stay healthy and string together performances, how good can he be? And remember, I told you guys, Nakobe Dean is on thin ice. And I told you guys also that if he shows otherwise, I would be very willing and open to changing my opinion on his outlook. So, you know, it is what it is. I like what I saw. He came to play. Gator says, Howie builds a Lamborghini and puts flats on it. That's how he treats the team with the linebackers. That's funny. Twiz says, first preseason, I'm liking what I'm seeing for the most part. Yeah, me too. Defense held them to only 13 points. Not bad. They were pretty stout. As Blunt says, I look at Johnny Wilson as a wide receiver 4 and Covey as a wide receiver 5. Anaya Smith is still developmental at wide receiver 6. We need a legit 3. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the Philadelphia Eagles outsource for another wide receiver. I really wouldn't be surprised if they went out and tried to find another guy. Twiz says Jalen Hunt got a couple pressures. He sure did. Jalen Hunt's athleticism and his ability in coverage and his ability to protect the edge showed last night. Aishan says Barkley gonna be a dog barking down the field into the end zone. Bro, that's what I'm saying. If the offensive line looked this good with those backup running backs, what y'all think Saquon Barkley gonna do with the starters? Just think about that. Daz, he says, all I know for sure is Bond is not better than Dean or Trotter. Hey, man. Trotter Jr. and Nakobe Dean, they putting pressure on Zach Bond. I'll tell you that. So, John the Don says Paris Campbell is the 3. Well, Paris Campbell can't stay healthy, John. If Paris Campbell can be healthy, maybe he's the 3. But he's not healthy right now. And because of that, the Philadelphia Eagles just might look for another person. They just might outsource. Dad says, I'm actually shocked that Bong got the hype he got. That was an awful performance by him. He wasn't awful, but it wasn't impressive. You know? It wasn't awful, but it wasn't impressive either. But again, like I said, Trotter Jr. and Nakobe Dean, they on his ass. Dad says, I really don't want to get rid of Ricks. Huge potential in that kid. You know, the cornerback room is so deep. I have a hard time seeing where Ricks can really get on the field. Cody said Rodgers looked rusty. Not bad. Okay, that's reasonable. As Blunt says, I wonder if we can trade Ricks or Bradbury for a legit wide receiver 3 option. You know what's crazy? Bradbury looked pretty good out there at safety. He was out there with Reed Blankenship. And Bradbury looked all right. Jonathan says Shipley is basic. No, he wasn't basic last night, bro. He wasn't basic last night. Cody says Ringo was like 19 when we drafted him. Well, we drafted Ringo last year. So Ringo is 22 right now. So we drafted him at probably age 21. Let me double check. So Kelee Ringo's birthday is June 27th. He just turned 21. So we drafted Ringo when he was 20. Yeah. We drafted Ringo when he was 20. Dad says Ringo was an absolute steal. Benjamin Moore thinks that Bradbury is going to make the team at safety. It's a possibility. Twiz says Dean in the Axe too. I love it. Ernest Wallace says, I'm sure Bradbury can cover. It's the tackling at safety for him. Yeah, man, I'm a little nervous about that too. Benjamin Moore says, damn, Tone, you lighten up. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys. I can't do it without y'all. Y'all. I can't do it. No, he turned 21 after we drafted him. He turned 21. No, he turned 20. I'm sorry. You're right. No. We drafted him last season. The draft was in April. He just turned 22. So, by that logic, he was 20 when we drafted him. That's how the math is mathing. He turned 21 after we drafted him. Elijah Earl says, I wasn't really. Yes, as Blunt, correct, exactly. We drafted him when he was 20. When the season started, he was 21. Exactly. Elijah Earl says, I wasn't really tripping before, but I'm starting to get concerned about the tight end position after Calcaterra. It gets ugly. Yeah. Calcaterra was solid last night. All those other guys, yeah. All you really need is really for them to be blockers at this point. No, you all good, Cam. Cam, you good. You good. Cam, we all good. You all good, bro. It's all love. Math is I'm not a math major. Aishan says, I'm loving Trout, to be honest. But if Dean can get more reps and dials in on his pass coverage, he will snap on the field this year. No cap at y'all. Hey, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. All right, you guys. Private McClunky says, Tone, I don't know if you talked about him already, but after seeing Anaya Smith, yeah, my boy might not be it. Yeah, man. He looked bad last night. He looked bad. Dad says, yeah, I rewatched the game again, and Dean's coverage and handoffs were perfect last night. The communication between him and Trotter was top notch. Solid, Daz. Solid. That's dope that you went back and rewatched the game. That's dope. Dean and Trotter, they played well with each other. Aishan says, damn, Ringo, young as hell. Wow. In the 4th round, too? Yeah. I think we got him in like the 4th round because we drafted Sidney Brown in the 3rd. As Blunt said, it's been real. You know what next week's schedule looks like for the Eagles in your show? So Monday I'm going to be live. Around lunchtime. So be on the lookout for that. As far as the Eagles go, I don't really know yet. But I'm going to get out of here, you guys. Thank you so much for showing love the way you guys do. It means the world to me. I can't go on without you guys. The show doesn't move without you guys. So understand your power as the consumer. Football is back. Your Philadelphia Eagles, in my opinion, are trending in the right direction. I loved what I saw from the young guys. I loved what I saw from Trotter and Nakobe Dean, Kelee Ringo, Will Shipley, the offensive line, Darian Kennard to be specific, Trevor Keegan, Dylan McMahon, Tyler Steen outside of the penalties. Got to give credit to who else? Jalix Hunt. I really liked what I saw last night. So I'm optimistic about the defense. We'll see. We'll see how the rest of it goes. And I really, really, really can't wait to talk to you guys next. And we'll leave it at that. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show if you haven't already. Stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay hungry. I've been your humble host, your illustrious host, your grateful host, Tone DeShields II. And you guys have been locked in on a Saturday edition of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game.